What are the rights of a woman? Where the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women ensures that they are guaranteed some sort of equality worldwide. Head of the Trinidad and Tobago Committee, Terry Ince, told reporter Marie Hull the ways in which this country continues its press for progress.
Let's go, girls.
In 1985, Trinidad and Tobago became a signatory of the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. This treaty was ratified in 1990. Founder and director of CEDAW's Trinidad and Tobago Committee, Terry Ince, says the convention is to allow the state to assist in putting in place required institutional framework to ensure equality for all. And while Trinidad and Tobago has come a long way, Ms. Ince says there is much more to be done.
The appropriate policies and frameworks, etc., was put in place so that women has an equal shot at everything. It also says that the then government saw the need to be a part of the global the movement, because this is something that we weren't the only country that did. We were the first in the region. So we really have been, and Trinidad and Tobago that is, have been really setting the pace in terms of women's equality, women's signing on to these types of treaty bodies in the Caribbean, in the region.
CEDAW requires each country to submit national reports at least every 4 years on measures they have taken to comply within the treaty obligations. Here's some insight into the United Nations recommendations.
Women and girls in rural communities, how are we managing that? Women and girls who are marginalized, what have we put in place, and demonstrate or show us, document what has been done, to ensure that they're educated, that their health needs are met, that their housing needs are met, that women and girls are able to acquire land on their own.
Ms. Ince says women are at a crossroads.
We're not well represented in places where we should be represented. We're not the decision makers. That's not meant to say that we should always be the decision makers. It is, what I'm suggesting is that while women are in places, women aren't really at the table making decisions. That women aren't, even when we're at the table, the manner in which decisions are made are not with female inequality in mind.
With movements like Me Too and Time's Up, which speak to sexual harassment in the workplace on the rise, Ms. Ince says this country has not openly taken a stance. She's calling for victims of this type of abuse to raise their voice.
I'm not surprised that it hasn't taken hold. I would suggest, however, that Me Too is deeply rooted in Trinidad and Tobago. I think there are a lot of Me Toos in Trinidad and Tobago. We're just not speaking on it because we're not brave enough to do it.
On March 8th, Trinidad and Tobago celebrated 60 years of the International Women's Day movement. Marie Hull, CNews.